Imagine this scenario. You show up to the gym 4 days a week. You adhere to the discipline. You embrace the pain. But a year goes by, and you look in the mirror, and you realize you look the same. Or worse, you're constantly nursing a nagging shoulder pain or a stiff lower back. The brutal reality of the fitness industry is that popularity does not equal effectiveness. If you walk into any commercial gym right now, I guarantee you will see dozens of people performing movements that are, scientifically speaking, a waste of time. We call this junk volume, but it gets darker than that. Some of the most popular exercises shared by influencers with elite genetics are actually biomechanical nightmares for the average human skeleton. They aren't just stalling your progress, they are actively grinding down your joints. Just because it looks cool on Instagram doesn't mean it's based on physics. Today, we are going to perform a complete audit of your training routine. We are cutting through the noise to break down 10 incredibly common exercises that you need to stop doing immediately. I'm not just going to tell you what to stop. I'm going to give you the superior, scientifically backed alternatives to replace them with. Let's stop wasting time, save your joints, and finally start getting the results you deserve. Exercise number 1. The waist waster, also known as the dumbbell side bend. This is perhaps the most misunderstood core exercise in existence. You see people doing this furiously, holding heavy weights, trying to target their obliques or melt their love handles. Here is the physics problem that most people ignore. Gravity pulls downward in a vertical line. When you hold a dumbbell at your side and stand straight up, there is almost zero tension on your obliques. The weight is simply hanging on your skeletal structure, pulling your shoulder down. When you bend to the side, you aren't really working against gravity until the very end of the range of motion. Even worse, I see people holding dumbbells in both hands at the same time. This literally creates a counterbalance. The weight in your left hand helps pull you up from the bend on your right side, making the exercise completely pointless. You are essentially just seesawing your spine under load, putting unnecessary shear force on your lumbar discs without stimulating the muscle. The alternative: if you want to sculpt your obliques, you need resistance that works against the direction you are moving. Stop fighting gravity incorrectly. Switch to the cable woodchopper. The cable provides constant horizontal tension across the rotational movement pattern your obliques are actually designed for. Or, if you have no equipment, master the side plank. This builds incredible isometric core stability and protects your spine instead of crushing it. Number 2. The shoulder wrecker, behind the neck presses or pull-downs. This is a relic of old-school bodybuilding that frankly needs to die. You might see old photos of legends doing this, but survivorship bias is real. Here is the biomechanical reality. The vast majority of human beings do not possess the requisite shoulder mobility to perform this safely. To get a straight bar behind your head, your shoulders must go into a position of extreme external rotation combined with abduction. When you load this end-range position with heavy weight, you are placing your rotator cuff tendons in a highly vulnerable position for impingement. You are essentially grinding the soft tissue between your bones. Additionally, watch someone do this. They almost always jut their neck forward like a turtle to get out of the way of the bar, straining the cervical spine. The alternative: the risk-to-reward ratio here is terrible. There is zero confirmed muscle-building advantage to pressing behind the head versus in front. Keep it simple and safe. Do front lat pull-downs, pulling the bar to your upper chest with a slight lean back. For pressing, stick to the standard overhead press with the bar moving in front of your face. Your shoulders will stay healthy enough to keep training for decades. Number 3. The momentum move, the dumbbell tricep kickback. This is a staple in many beginner workouts, but it is fundamentally flawed. This exercise isn't necessarily dangerous, it's just incredibly inefficient. Again, we have to look at leverage. When your arm is bent at 90 degrees at the start of the movement, gravity is pulling the dumbbell straight down. There's absolutely zero tension on your tricep here because the weight isn't acting against the muscle's line of pull. You only get significant tension in the final 10% of the movement at full lockout. Because it's so hard at the top and so easy at the bottom, what happens? You start swinging. You use momentum to get the weight up, bypassing the muscle entirely. The alternative: muscles grow best under constant tension. The cable tricep pushdown solves the gravity issue perfectly. The pulley system ensures that the resistance is uniform throughout the entire range of motion, from the deep stretch at the top to the hard squeeze at the bottom. Number 4. Impingement City, the upright row. If you want shoulder pain in your 40s, keep doing heavy upright rows. This movement forces your shoulders into a mechanic called internal rotation combined with elevation. Picture your shoulder joint. When you raise your elbows high with your hands close together, you are jamming the head of your humerus, upper arm bone, right up against the acromion process. In between those bones are your rotator cuff tendons. Every rep is like a pestle and mortar grinding those tendons. It is the perfect recipe for impingement syndrome. While some people with unique bone structures can tolerate this, for the general population, it is a ticking time bomb. The alternative: you are doing this to hit your side delts and traps, right? There is a much better way. The dumbbell lateral raise is superior for the side delts. A key tip: lean extremely slightly forward and keep your thumbs pointed slightly up, as if you were pouring a pitcher of water. This opens up the shoulder joint space, allowing for a full contraction without the bone-on-bone grinding. Number 5. Fighting the wrong enemy. The standing dumbbell chest. Fly. I see this one surprisingly often in commercial gyms. Someone standing upright, holding dumbbells out to the side like a T, and bringing them together in front of their chest to work the inner chest. Let's return to Physics 101. Gravity pulls down. When you're standing and bring the weights together in front of you, the resistance vector is vertical, pulling the weights to the floor. But your movement vector is horizontal. At the point where your chest should be squeezing the hardest, when your hands are touching, there is absolutely zero load on the pec muscles. Your front delts are just doing an isometric hold to keep the weights from falling. You aren't training your chest, you're just getting tired shoulders. The alternative: if you want to isolate the chest with a fly motion, you must change your angle relative to gravity. Lie down for a bench dumbbell fly. Or, even better, use standing cable flies. Cables are magic because they redirect resistance. The pulley ensures there is tension pulling your hands apart horizontally across the entire movement, giving you that deep inner chest squeeze you're looking for. Number 6. The knee twister. The Curtsy lunge. The Curtsy lunge became trendy on social media for building the glute shelf. The logic is that by crossing your leg behind you, you stretch the glute fibers more. While it does increase the stretch slightly, the cost is too high. This movement forces your hips and knees into a very unnatural alignment. Specifically, it places high amounts of rotational, valgus stress on the front knee. It forces the knee to cave inward, which is the exact mechanism used to tear an ACL. It also jams the hip joint. You are sacrificing joint integrity for a marginally better stretch that you could achieve elsewhere. It's a high-risk movement, especially once you start adding weight. The alternative: you want a deep glute stretch? Stick to the classics that respect human anatomy. The reverse lunge or the Bulgarian split squat. These allow for a massive range of motion and deep hip flexion without forcing your joints into compromised, twisting positions. Number 7. The fixed path trap. The Smith machine squat. This is a controversial one, but we need to talk about it. The Smith machine locks the bar into a perfectly vertical, fixed path. The problem? Your body does not move in straight lines. When you squat with a free barbell, your torso naturally leans forward and the bar travels in a slight arc to accommodate the movement of your hips and knees. The Smith machine forces your body to conform to its mechanics, not yours. This creates unnatural shearing forces on the knees and places tremendous stress on the lower back, as you can't adjust your posture naturally during the lift. It removes the need for stabilizing muscles, which sounds good, but actually leaves you weaker and more prone to injury in the real world. The alternative: if you want big legs, learn to barbell squat with free weights. It teaches you balance and coordination. If that is too intimidating or you have back issues, switch to the goblet squat holding a dumbbell at your chest. This naturally corrects your posture and allows for deep, safe squatting mechanics. Number 8. The Shin Destroyer, High Rep Box. Jumps. Box jumps are great for developing power, but seeing people do sets of 20, 30, or 50 box jumps for cardio is a recipe for disaster. Power is about quality, not quantity. As you get tired, your form breaks down. Your feet don't lift as high, and eventually you clip your shin on the edge of the box. Anyone who has done this knows it is excruciating. But beyond the skin damage, the repetitive impact of jumping down backward from the box places massive stress on the Achilles tendon. Rupturing an Achilles will take you out of the game for a year. It's not worth it for a bit of cardio. The alternative: if you want to train power, do 5 to 8 maximal effort jumps on a moderate box and step down 1 foot at a time. If you want cardio, do step-ups or use a rowing machine. Keep power training and endurance training separate. Number 9. The Circus Act, Bosu ball squats. Unless you are actively rehabbing a specific ankle injury under the guidance of a physical therapist, stop squatting on unstable surfaces like Bosu balls. There is a massive misconception that adding instability makes an exercise more functional or recruits more muscle fibers. It does the opposite. To build strength and muscle, you need force production. You need a solid base to push against. When you stand on a squishy ball, your brain's primary goal becomes survival. It just wants you not to fall over. It sends a signal to limit neural drive to your prime mover muscles, your quads and glutes, to keep you safe. You are forced to use significantly less weight. You aren't training strength, you're just training your ability to balance on a ball. The alternative: squat on the floor. The ground is stable. This allows you to maximize force production, lift heavier loads, and actually stimulate muscle growth. Save the balance training for specific warm-up drills, not your main heavy lifts. Number 10. The Ego Lift, the half-rep leg press. We've all seen it. Someone loads up every plate in the gym onto the leg press, unlocks the safety, and then moves the sled about 2 inches. This is pure ego. Moving a massive weight over a tiny range of motion does very little for muscle growth. However, it places an enormous amount of compression on your knees and lower back. Your muscles aren't under tension long enough to stimulate growth, but your joints are taking a beating. The alternative: drop the weight by half, maybe even more. Lower the sled until your knees are at least at a 90-degree angle, or deeper if your flexibility allows, without your lower back rounding off the pad. Full range of motion with lighter weight will always build bigger legs than half reps with heavy weight. Look, training is hard enough without wasting energy on movements that don't serve you. Don't get caught up in trendy exercises or things that look complex just for the sake of looking hardcore. Effective training is usually boring. It's about mastering the basic human movement patterns: push, pull, squat, hinge, lunge, with exercises that align with your anatomy and physics. If you cut these 10 exercises from your routine and swap in the alternatives I gave you, I guarantee you will not only feel better in your joints, but you'll start seeing faster results because you are finally putting the tension where it belongs, on your muscles. Train smarter, not just harder. If you found this breakdown helpful and want to save your gym partner from snapping their spine, share this video with them. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into training efficiency. Let me know in the comments. Which of these were you guilty of doing? See you in the next one.